Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin today with a truth that took me years to understand. Most people don't fail overnight. No, failure is not a sudden explosion. It's never one dramatic event. Failure is subtle, almost silent. It's the small errors in judgment we repeat every single day until one morning we wake up and wonder, how on earth did I end up here? And on the other side, success isn't a miracle either. Success is just as quiet, just as subtle, built from a handful of disciplines, practiced consistently. Now, some people may say, Jim, I work hard, I show up, I try, so why don't I get the results I want? And the answer, my friends, isn't in effort alone. It's in philosophy. Because it's not what happens that determines your future, it's what you do about what happens. See, two people can face the same situation, the same economy, the same world, and one will fail while the other becomes unstoppable. The difference isn't luck. The difference is the set of principles guiding their life. So today, I want to share with you the 3 powerful principles that separate the ones who struggle year after year from the ones who break through. And if you've ever felt stuck working hard, trying your best, but somehow falling short, then today may be the turning point. Not because I'm here or you're here, but because you're ready. Ready to learn a new philosophy, ready to take a new direction, and ready to stop repeating the tiny errors that lead to big disappointment. If you're willing, I'll show you the path from failure to unstoppable success. And it all begins with understanding why good people, smart people, capable people still fail. Now let's talk about something most people never examine closely, the failure trap. And let me tell you, it's a quiet one. You see, most people don't fail because they're lazy or because they're not smart. No, most people fail because what's easy to do is also easy not to do. It's easy to read a book, it's also easy to skip it. It's easy to save 10% of your income, it's also easy to spend every penny. It's easy to take a walk after dinner and just as easy to sit on the couch and promise yourself you'll start tomorrow. That's the trap. Failure hides inside those tiny decisions we think don't matter. It's not the big disasters that ruin people. It's the small neglects that accumulate over time. I once met a young man who told me, Jim, I don't know what's happening. I work hard every day, but nothing changes. And I said, that's the point. You're working hard, but you're not improving. You're trading hours, but not upgrading your philosophy. See, hard work alone is not the secret. If working hard were enough, every construction worker, every farmer, every factory laborer would be wealthy. But they're not because the market doesn't reward effort. The market rewards value. And here's the painful part. Most people stay busy but never become valuable. They stay active but never become effective. They do what they've always done, and then they're surprised when life gives them the same results. Life is designed to respond to your philosophy, not your complaints, not your wishes, and certainly not your excuses. So if your philosophy is, it's fine, I'll start later, or one day I'll get serious, you're already in the failure trap. And the trap tightens every day you postpone your potential. But here's the good news. The moment you change your philosophy, everything changes. The moment you refuse to accept the excuses, the moment you stop letting comfort dictate your future, that's when failure loosens its grip. That's when a new life begins. And that brings us to the first principle that pulls you out of the trap and places you on the path to success, discipline. Now, let's talk about the first principle that lifts you out of the failure trap and places you on the road to real success, discipline. And ladies and gentlemen, discipline is not a harsh word. It's not punishment. Discipline is simply the decision to do what's necessary, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the great equalizer, because while talent varies and opportunity varies, the ability to practice discipline is available to every single one of us. I used to think success was complicated, mysterious, reserved for the lucky few. But then my mentor said, Jim, discipline is the bridge between dreams and accomplishments. And that one sentence changed the entire trajectory of my life. You see, without discipline, dreams stay dreams. Without discipline, goals stay goals. Without discipline, potential stays potential. But with discipline, even the smallest daily action can move mountains over time. Let me give you an example. It's easy to set the alarm for 5 a.m., but it takes discipline to get out of bed when it rings. It's easy to say, I should save some money, but it takes discipline to actually keep that promise to yourself. It's easy to say, I'll read, I'll exercise, I'll study, but discipline is what separates the talkers from the doers. The truth is, your future is hidden inside the disciplines you practice or neglect every day. And here's the funny thing, discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret can last a lifetime. Now, the good news is that discipline works like a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. You don't start with the hardest discipline. You start with the simplest one. Make your bed. Read 10 pages. Save $5. Do one thing you said you would do. And once you stack enough small disciplines, you begin to trust yourself. You begin to transform. And the world begins to treat you differently because the market responds to disciplined people. Discipline shows up in your posture, your presence, your energy, your results. And when you build discipline, you build freedom. Freedom from inconsistency. Freedom from procrastination. Freedom from the old version of you. Discipline gives you control over your time, your habits, and your destiny. But discipline is only the first principle. To reach your potential, you must also transform the way you think. Because even with discipline, if the philosophy behind your effort is weak, your results will be weak. And that leads us to principle number 2, the power of mindset. Now let's move to the second principle, mindset, or what I like to call your personal philosophy. And let me tell you, this is where the real difference is made. Because you can practice discipline, you can work hard, you can grind every day, but if your philosophy is wrong, your life will still head in the wrong direction. You don't get paid for the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. And that value is shaped by your mindset. See, the average person says, I hope things get better. But the person with a winning philosophy says, I must get better. Big difference. One waits for life to change. The other changes themselves. Most people fail not because they don't have the ability, but because they have a philosophy that limits them. Some believe opportunity is scarce. Some believe success is reserved for the chosen few. Some believe their past decides their future. But here's what I learned. The way you think determines the way you act, and the way you act determines the way you live. You can't escape your own thinking. If you think small, you'll live small. If you think average, you'll live average. If you think the world owes you something, you'll always be disappointed. But if you think in terms of growth, contribution, value, your world begins to expand. I once met a young man who told me, Jim, I want to be successful, but nothing ever works out for me. And I said, son, the problem isn't that nothing works out. The problem is your philosophy is working perfectly. It's producing exactly what it's designed to produce. If you believe life is unfair, you'll look for evidence that life is unfair. If you believe you're unlucky, you'll find proof of it everywhere. But if you adopt a new philosophy, one that says, what can I learn? How can I grow? What can I become? Then suddenly the world opens up to you. People open up to you. Opportunities open up to you. See, your mindset is the lens through which you view life. Clean the lens and life becomes clearer. Strengthen the lens and life becomes bigger. Change the lens and your whole world can transform. And when your discipline meets the right mindset, you become someone of increasing value. But discipline and mindset alone are not enough. You must also commit to the third principle, the principle of continuous, never-ending improvement. Now let's move to the third principle, one of my favorites, consistent improvement. And let me tell you, this is where average ends and excellence begins. Most people work hard on their job, but very few work hard on themselves. And that was one of the first lessons that shook me awake. My mentor looked me in the eye and said, Jim, if you want more, you must become more. Not earn more, become more. Not demand more, deliver more. See, your value to the marketplace is not determined by how many hours you put in, but by how much value you bring. And value doesn't come from time, it comes from growth. You don't get paid for showing up. You get paid for showing up better than you were yesterday. I tell people all the time, you can chop wood all day with a dull axe. You can sweat, grind, bleed, and still end the day frustrated. Or you can stop for a moment, sharpen the blade, and suddenly the same effort produces 10 times the results. That's the power of self-improvement. Reading one book won't change your life, but reading 10 pages a day for a year will completely alter your thinking. Saving $5 won't make you wealthy, but saving it every week for 10 years will change your financial destiny. Going to one seminar won't turn you into a leader, but consistently investing in your mind will make you someone people want to follow. The wealthy, the successful, they don't stop learning after school. School may give you degrees, but life pays you for skills. And skills are built by continuous learning. Every new idea becomes a tool. Every new skill becomes leverage. Every new habit becomes part of the foundation on which your future is built. But here's the challenge. Improvement requires humility. It requires admitting that you don't know enough yet, that you can get better, that your best can still improve. Some people never grow because they think they've already arrived. But the person who says, I know, stops learning. The person who says, I'm willing to learn, becomes unstoppable. So make it your mission to outgrow the person you were last week. Study more, listen more, reflect more, refine your approach, upgrade your philosophy, improve your skills, because the marketplace always rewards those who bring more value. And those who bring more value are not the ones who work harder, they are the ones who grow smarter. But even with all three principles, discipline, mindset, improvement, there are still hidden obstacles that stop people from ever reaching their potential. And that's what we need to uncover next. Now let's get to a part of the conversation that most people avoid, the real reason success is so rare. You'd think, with all the books available, all the seminars, all the courses, all the opportunities, that success would be everywhere. But it's not. And it's not because people don't want success. Everyone wants success. The problem is, most people live their lives unaware of the hidden barriers working against them every single day. Let me give you 3 of them. The first barrier is environment. Your environment pulls on you more than motivation pushes you. You could be inspired on Sunday, but if you're surrounded by doubters on Monday, your inspiration evaporates. You can't soar with eagles if you spend every day arguing with ducks. Your life will always rise or fall to the expectations of the people around you. The second barrier is excuses. Oh, excuses are clever. They're comfortable. They're convincing. And they're deadly. Excuses dress themselves up as reasons, but they're nothing more than stories we tell ourselves to avoid responsibility. I've met people who had every excuse in the world, the economy, their parents, their job, their past, their luck, and they believed these excuses so strongly that they never even noticed they had built a prison out of their own thoughts. And the third barrier is comfort. Comfort is the silent assassin of potential. Comfort whispers, you're fine. You can start tomorrow. Nothing urgent today. And if you listen long enough, comfort becomes your master. It keeps you average, predictable, stagnant. You see, nature demands growth. Life demands progress. But comfort demands nothing and gives nothing. And that's why success is rare. Because it requires you to push against your surroundings, confront your excuses, and step out of the warm blanket of comfort. But here's the good news. Once you expose these barriers, they lose their power. Once you decide to rise above your environment, reject your excuses, and outgrow your comfort, the world opens in ways you never imagined. Because the moment you break through these invisible ceilings, you enter a new territory. The territory of people who don't wait for success, but become the kind of people success is attracted to. And that leads us to the moment everything begins to change, the turning point. Now we arrive at what I call the turning point, that moment in a person's life when everything begins to shift, not because the world changes, but because they change. Most people wait for some grand event to transform their life, a new job, a lucky break, a miracle, a sign from the universe. But life doesn't work that way. Change doesn't begin out there. Change begins in here. One decision, just one, can redirect the entire course of your life. I remember my own turning point. I was 25, broke, embarrassed, behind on my bills, and full of excuses. And then I met a mentor who asked me a question that stopped me in my tracks. Jim, if you keep living the way you're living, will the next 5 years look any different? And I knew the answer. No change in me meant no change in my future. That's when I realized my life would only improve when I improved. My results would only change when I changed. And I made one decision, just one, that turned everything around. The decision to take responsibility, to stop blaming the economy, my job, my upbringing, my circumstances, to stop waiting and start becoming. That's the turning point. It's the moment you decide to reject excuses, embrace discipline, elevate your mindset, and commit to growth. And let me tell you, once you make that decision, life begins responding to you differently. New opportunities appear. New people come into your life. New ideas start showing up. Not because the universe suddenly favors you, but because you become someone worth favoring. The turning point isn't about perfection, it's about direction. It's the day you say, this is it. This is the day I rise. This is the day I change the story. And once you make that decision, once you truly commit, something wonderful happens. Momentum begins. And momentum is what transforms change from difficult into unstoppable. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful forces in personal development, momentum. Once you make that turning point decision, what you must do next is build enough momentum that nothing can stop you. Not setbacks, not doubts, not old habits, not the opinions of others. Momentum is what transforms effort into progress, and progress into confidence. And confidence, my friends, becomes the engine of an unstoppable life. You've probably seen it before. Someone makes one good decision, just one, and suddenly everything begins to align. They start reading every day. They save a little money. They invest in a course. They wake up earlier. They move with intention. And after a few weeks of this new direction, you look at them and think, something is different about you. That something is momentum. And here's the beauty. Momentum is built from small disciplines performed consistently, not big efforts performed occasionally. You don't have to run a marathon to build momentum. Just start with a walk. You don't have to read a library. Just read 10 pages. You don't have to make $1 million. Just save your first 100. Success begins with the slightest push. One change creates another. One action sparks the next. One discipline strengthens the others. And suddenly, you're no longer pushing your life uphill. Your life starts pulling you forward. People say, Jim, how do I become unstoppable? My answer is simple. Get enough small wins behind you that turning back becomes unthinkable. Imagine stacking day after day of discipline, learning, saving, practicing, improving. After a while, your old self can't keep up with the new you. You become someone different, someone focused, someone confident, someone dependable, someone valuable. And when you become valuable, opportunities that once ignored you begin knocking on your door. Because life responds to momentum, it rewards forward motion. Once you start moving with intention, life says, you're serious now. Let me open a few doors for you. And when the doors open and your momentum grows, you enter a new phase, the phase where success is not something you chase, but something you attract. And when you reach that stage, it's time to seal it with a final principle, the understanding that your future will only grow as much as you grow. And now, as we bring our time together to a close, let me leave you with a message I've carried with me my entire life. For things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. Your life doesn't improve by accident. It improves by intention. It improves by discipline, by developing a better mindset, by committing to constant improvement. Those three principles, simple as they may seem, are the foundation of every breakthrough you will ever experience. You don't get a better future by wishing for it or waiting for it. You earn a better future by becoming someone worthy of it. And that's the greatest lesson I can share with you today. Success is something you attract by the person you become. So as you walk away from this message, don't just admire the ideas, apply them. Don't just agree with the philosophy, live it. Start today. Not next month, not next year, today. Start with one small discipline to strengthen your character. Start with one shift in your thinking to elevate your perspective. Start with one step of improvement to increase your value, because each step you take is a brick laid in the foundation of your future. And before long, those bricks accumulate into a life you can be proud of, a life built on intention, on principles, on discipline, on wisdom. Remember, the marketplace rewards value, life rewards growth, and your future rewards courage. So take that courage with you now. Begin the work. Become the person capable of the success you desire. And always remember this simple truth. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your destiny. You have the power to begin again today. And if you do, your life will never be the same. My friend, may your next chapter be the one where you rise, you grow, and you become unstoppable.